Lily had always approached love cautiously, as if it were something that could slip from her hands at any moment. After her last heartbreak, she'd sworn off dating for a while. Modern relationships seemed to be built on fragile foundations, promises that were rarely kept, fleeting moments disguised as forever. She spent her time focusing on herself, healing, staying away from romantic entanglements. But life has a way of changing things when you least expect it. And that's when she met Ethan. He was unlike anyone Lily had met before. Charming, easy to talk to, with a disarming sense of humor that made her forget, if only for a moment, all the walls she had built around her heart. They met at a friend's party, one of those casual gatherings where no one really expects to meet anyone special. Yet, from the moment their eyes met across the room, there was something electric between them. Ethan's confidence was what first drew her in. He had this way of talking that made her feel like she was the only person in the room. They spent the evening together, laughing, exchanging stories, and before long, Lily found herself wanting to know more about him. There was a mystery to him that intrigued her. He seemed so open, so transparent about his past in a way that most men weren't. Over the next few weeks, Ethan and Lily grew closer. She found herself thinking about him constantly, replaying their conversations in her head, eager for their next meeting. He was different from the men she had known. He was thoughtful, considerate, and always made her feel valued. One evening, while they were sitting in his apartment, Ethan decided to share something more personal. "I've never really talked about this before," he began, his voice steady but low, as if confessing something important. "But my last relationship, we were in an open arrangement." Lily blinked, unsure of how to respond at first. An open relationship? That was something she had only heard about in abstract conversations, never something she had experienced herself. Ethan explained that he and his ex-girlfriend had been together for 15 years and had developed a kind of mutual understanding, a relationship built on freedom and trust. They allowed each other to see other people as long as they were honest about it. At first, it seemed strange to Lily, but Ethan made it sound so normal, as if it were a sign of maturity, of a deep and unshakable bond. Ethan shared stories, casual but vivid, about the women he had been with while in this arrangement. Each story was told with a sense of transparency, and as Lily listened, she felt herself drawn deeper into his world. She admired his openness. It wasn't something she had ever considered for herself, but the way he spoke made it seem liberating, like a new kind of love that defied convention. But there was one name that kept coming up, Vanessa Starr. Ethan had mentioned her casually at first, as just another woman from his past. But the more he talked about Vanessa, the clearer it became that she had been more than just a fling. They had known each other for years, he said, and their relationship had evolved from friends to something more. For a while, they had been friends with benefits, and even though that part of their relationship had ended, they had stayed close. Something about the way Ethan talked about Vanessa made Lily uncomfortable. Maybe it was the ease with which he mentioned her, or the way he would receive texts from her during their time together. The messages were never overtly suspicious, just friendly banter. But Lily couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more between them. One night, while Ethan was in the shower, Lily's curiosity got the better of her. His phone buzzed, and there it was, another message from Vanessa. This time, the tone was different. "I miss you," it read, accompanied by a photo of the two of them at some event, laughing, their bodies pressed close together. Lily's heart sank. Was she reading too much into it? After all, Ethan had been honest with her from the beginning about his past with Vanessa. But that picture, there was an intimacy there that went beyond friendship. She could feel it in her gut, the kind of intuition that twists your stomach and makes you question everything. She pushed the thought aside, not wanting to appear paranoid. After all, Ethan had been so open with her. He wouldn't lie, would he? But the feeling lingered. Over the next few weeks, Vanessa's name came up more frequently. Ethan would mention her in passing, sometimes sharing stories of their time together that seemed harmless on the surface. Yet, with every mention, Lily's unease grew. She tried to convince herself that she was just being insecure. Ethan had told her everything, hadn't he? There were no secrets between them, or so she thought. One evening, Lily decided to dig deeper. She found Vanessa's social media profile, and it didn't take long to piece together her life. Vanessa was married to a man named James. From the outside, they seemed like the perfect couple, happy, successful, the kind of relationship that people envy. Their social media pages were filled with pictures of vacations, dinners, and sweet anniversary posts. But something was off. The more Lily scrolled through Vanessa's posts, the more she noticed discrepancies. There were gaps, times when Vanessa was absent from James' life. Those same gaps, Lily realized, aligned with the stories Ethan had told her about traveling with Vanessa. They had shared hotel rooms, rented cars together, exchanged gifts. It wasn't just a casual friendship. And now, as Lily stared at the smiling photos of Vanessa and James, the sickening realization hit her. Ethan hadn't been honest with her. He had painted a picture of transparency and trust, but in reality, he had been cheating on his ex for years, and now he was doing the same to her. Her heart raced as she pieced together the timeline. Ethan had lied about being in an open relationship. He had lied about Vanessa, about everything. The thought of confronting him made her stomach turn, but she knew she couldn't keep this to herself. She had to know the truth, no matter how much it hurt. The next day, Lily sat across from Ethan, her heart pounding in her chest. She chose her words carefully, not wanting to come off as accusatory. But the moment she mentioned Vanessa, Ethan's demeanor changed. He grew defensive, his easy charm replaced by a thinly veiled irritation. He tried to brush off her concerns, insisting that he and Vanessa were just friends now. But Lily wasn't convinced. The way he avoided eye contact, the way his voice tightened, it was all too familiar. She had seen this behavior before, in past relationships, when lies began to unravel. That night, while Ethan slept, Lily found herself staring at his phone again. The urge to check it was overwhelming. She hated herself for it, but the need to know the truth outweighed her guilt. She scrolled through the messages between Ethan and Vanessa, her hands trembling with each swipe. What she found shattered any remaining doubts. The messages were flirtatious, intimate, filled with years of communication that went far beyond what Ethan had described. They reminisced about their time together, planned trips, and talked about sneaking away again. Vanessa wasn't just another friend from Ethan's past. She was still very much a part of his life, in ways that Ethan had hidden from Lily. The betrayal hit her like a punch to the gut. All the stories Ethan had told her about trust, openness, and honesty had been lies. He wasn't just unfaithful. He was a master manipulator, spinning webs of deceit while pretending to be transparent. Lily felt sick. She confronted Ethan the next morning. This time, there was no room for him to wriggle out of it. She laid out everything she had found: the messages, the trips, the gifts. Ethan's face went pale as he realized he had been caught. He tried to explain, to offer excuses, but the damage was done. In a moment of desperation, Ethan admitted that his previous relationship hadn't been open at all. He had been cheating on his ex the entire time, just like he was cheating on Lily now. The stories about openness and trust were just lies to justify his behavior. Lily was devastated. How could she have fallen for this? How could she have trusted him? But the betrayal didn't stop there. Vanessa was married, and from what Lily could tell, James had no idea about his wife's affair. The thought of Vanessa and Ethan continuing their lies, continuing to deceive everyone around them, was too much for Lily to bear. She found herself staring at James' profile, wondering if she should tell him the truth. She had found his work contact information, and the temptation to reach out grew stronger with each passing day. But what if she was wrong? What if Vanessa and James did have an open marriage? What if Lily's interference only caused more harm than good? The questions gnawed at her, keeping her awake at night, her mind racing with possibilities. The weight of the secret was suffocating. Lily felt trapped in a web of lies she hadn't created, but was now entangled in. She couldn't shake the image of James, blissfully unaware of what was happening behind his back. Did she have a responsibility to tell him? Or was it better to stay out of it, to walk away and leave their mess for them to deal with? One evening, after hours of agonizing over the decision, Lily finally made up her mind. She couldn't let James live in ignorance, but she also couldn't bring herself to confront him directly. Instead, she crafted an anonymous email detailing everything she had learned about Vanessa and Ethan's affair. She included enough information for James to investigate on his own, but left her name out of it. It wasn't about revenge, it was about the truth. Her hands trembled as she hit send. And then silence. Weeks passed, and Lily heard nothing. She didn't know if James had confronted Vanessa, or if he had chosen to ignore the email altogether. The uncertainty gnawed at her, but there was no going back now. Ethan tried to reach out, but Lily had blocked him. She couldn't bear to hear his voice again, to listen to more of his lies. The pain of his betrayal was too deep. Slowly, she began to rebuild her life, piece by piece, trying to move on from the chaos he had brought into her world. But as time went on, Lily found herself haunted by the decision she had made. Had she done the right thing? Would James uncover the truth, or had she destroyed an innocent man's marriage? The weight of her actions lingered, a constant reminder of the darkness that can lie beneath the surface of even the most perfect-seeming lives. One day, months later, an email appeared in Lily's inbox from an address she didn't recognize. Her heart raced as she opened it. The message was brief, but it was from James. "I found out everything. Thank you." Lily stared at the screen, her emotions swirling. Relief washed over her, but with it came a sense of finality. The truth was out, and there was no undoing it now. In the end, Lily had exposed the lies, but in doing so, she had learned a painful lesson, that sometimes, even when you uncover the truth, it doesn't bring the closure you expect. Life doesn't always tie up neatly with answers or happy endings. Sometimes it just leaves you with more questions and the lingering weight of decisions made in the dark. As Lily stepped into her new life, the scars of her past still fresh, she knew one thing for certain: the truth can set you free, but it can also leave you haunted. And she would never forget the price she paid for knowing it.